JavaScript, the programming language for web technologies. JavaScript was created in 1995 by Brandon Ike to add interactivity and dynamic behavior to web pages. Since its release, there have been tons and tons of libraries and frameworks created using JavaScript. These frameworks were created with the sole purpose of making the process of building user interfaces as simple and as efficient as possible. In this video, we'll go through a bunch of the most popular ones, talking about why they were created and what sets them apart from the others. Let's jump into it. First on the list is jQuery. jQuery was one of the earliest libraries that made working with JavaScript fun. It was created by John Resnick and was released in August 2006. It helped developers write JavaScript code without worrying about browser compatibility, which was a big issue at the time. Certain JavaScript code would work on one browser and not work on others. jQuery fixed most of that. It contained many useful features that made it easy to make any website interactive. It made it trivial to do HTML and DOM manipulations, CSS manipulations, HTML events, effects, animations, and more. It also supported AJAX, short for asynchronous for JavaScript and XML. This made it easy to fetch and send data to a server without requiring a page refresh, hence improving the user's experience. It was also very lightweight, making it suitable for many applications. jQuery was the most popular JavaScript library for web interfaces for some time. However, it lacked facilities for handling data consistently across shared views. Several frameworks were built to tackle this problem. One of the most popular at that time was Ember, now known as Emberjs. Emberjs was released in December 2011. It was created by Yehuda Katz, who was also a member of the team that created jQuery. Ember is an open-source productive JavaScript framework and is known to be the best choice for ambitious developers. It was created to address the lack of conventions that made it challenging for developers to collaborate. It also established best practices for web development. It was an early adopter of routable single-page applications, allowing developers to create applications where most of the interactions and navigations happened on a single web page without full-page reloads. Ember follows the model, view, model architecture, separating the application's data model, user interface, and logic into distinct components. At that time, it was a game changer and was best suited to build complex, large-scale, single or multi-page client-side applications. Emberjs also has a very active community that hosts meetings worldwide to discuss all things tech. Ember is still supported today and is widely used by a lot of developers. Next is AngularJS. AngularJS was created by Google and was released in October 2010. It introduced several key features and concepts that revolutionized web development. One of those features was two-way data binding that automatically synchronized the data between the model, JavaScript, and the view, HTML. It also introduced directives that extended HTML with custom behaviors and allowed developers to use reusable components. It was also designed with testability and, among other things, introduced services, routing, filters, and more. AngularJS was great, but it had several issues and limitations related to performance while dealing with complex applications, lack of support for mobile application, lack of tooling for a well-defined project structure, and the inconsistencies that came with the framework being too flexible. In response to these issues, in September 2016, Google released Angular 2, now known as Angular. It addressed all the issues with AngularJS and introduced a component-based architecture that is very common today. The architecture promoted reusability and self-contained components. It also introduced dependency injections, making managing and injecting dependencies into components super easy. The primary issue with Angular was that it was not compatible with AngularJS, and there was no migration path for developers to migrate their existing AngularJS applications into Angular applications. As you'd imagine, this made a lot of developers angry. Since that decision, Angular hasn't been able to reach the numbers and popularity it once had. Angular is still popular and widely used today, but AngularJS has been discontinued. In May of 2013, a new game-changing framework was announced at a JavaScript conference in the United States. Before we go over the framework, I would love to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, Gradient AI. What if you could train your own version of ChatGPT to answer questions specific to what you care about? You see, the language models that ChatGPT and other popular AI chatbots run on are trained with data from the internet. You can ask a common domain question, and as long as the answer to that question was somewhere on the internet before 2021, chances are that it can answer your question pretty well. Where it struggles is answering questions niche to a specific domain or recent event. It might blatantly say it does not have the answer to the question, or at best give you a generic or wrong answer. This is because the model has not been trained with the dataset that has the answer to your question. Luckily for us, we can fine-tune state-of-the-art open-source models to answer questions specific to our use case using a platform like Gradient AI. We simply pick a pre-trained model like Llama 2 that has already been trained on a large data set, 13 billion points to be exact. We then fine-tune it with our data set here. It may sound complicated, but all the fine-tuning happens in this while loop, specifically this line here. When I ask who Uma Abu is before fine-tuning it, it gives a very interesting answer, which is definitely not what I expect. After fine-tuning it with the data here and asking it the same question, it gives a more accurate answer. It's that simple. We can develop more data sets and fine-tune it even more so it answers a broader array of questions. The trained model is now available for me to query via an API, CLI, or code. You can use this on various projects and several business use cases like chatbots, data analysis, and much more. It's essentially making a ChatGPT that fits your use case. Go check out Gradient AI today using the link in my bio. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. As you'd probably guessed, the game-changing library announced at the JavaScript conference in 2013 was React. It was created by Jordan Walk, a software engineer working at Facebook, now Meta. The audience at the conference was amazed by many of its innovative features, such as the virtual DOM, one-way data flow, and the flux pattern. The virtual DOM allows React to update the user interface efficiently. When there is a change in the application state, React doesn't immediately update the actual DOM in the browser. Instead, it first updates the virtual DOM, which is a representation of the real DOM stored as a lightweight in-memory data structure. React then calculates the difference between the previous virtual DOM and the new one. This process minimizes the number of real DOM manipulations, resulting in better performance. The React team explained how this architecture helped them solve some of the biggest recurring challenges they faced while fixing bugs for Facebook. Soon after the conference, React grew quickly in popularity. In 2015, the Redux library was created by Dan Abramov and Andrew Clark. It was inspired by Facebook's Flux architecture and became the revolutionary data flow architecture for managing state in React apps. Today, React is the most popular front-end framework and is used by tons of companies and developers worldwide. With the fall of AngularJS, a new framework similar to both Angular and React had been on the rise, and that framework was VueJS. Vue is a progressive JavaScript framework initially released in February 2014 by Evan You. Unlike React, which is very flexible, or Angular, which is very opinionated, Vue tries to pick the middle ground. Vue is known for its simplicity and ease of integrating with existing projects. It provides a straightforward and flexible approach to building web applications. It offers a clear and concise template syntax along with reactivity, which makes it easy for you to manage the state of your application. Vue is often referred to as the progressive framework because you can use as much or as little of it as you need. It can be added incrementally to existing projects without requiring a full rewrite, making it a flexible choice for various scenarios. It's relatively easy for developers to learn, especially those new to front-end development. Last but not least, we have NextJS. Next was first released in October 2016. It was created by Vercel to address several challenges and problems in building React applications. One of the defining features of Next.js is the support for server-side rendering. Instead of rendering pages in the user's browser, Next.js can render pages on the server and send a fully rendered HTML page to the client. This can improve page load times, search engine optimization, and the initial user experience. Next.js also allows developers to statically generate pages at build time. This approach is beneficial for content-driven websites or pages that don't require real-time data. It also supports client-side rendering, allowing developers to choose between client-side or server-side rendering. Next.js was created to address performance and SEO issues in web development, simplify routing, and provide a versatile framework for building web applications with React. That's it for this video. Those are all the popular JavaScript frameworks. Let me know if you've worked with any of them and what your favorite is. Mine is React, mainly because it's relatively simple and has met every use case that I've encountered. Be sure to check out Gradient AI using the link below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.